Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Swada Namostute. This is one of the mantras of Kali. There are different names of Kali. It's to invoke her. As we know, this power is tremendous. I mean, it is powerful. So I'll read the poem that Swami Vivekananda wrote about her as Kali the Mother. The stars are blotted out. The clouds are covering clouds. It is darkness, vibrant, sonant. In the roaring, whirling wind are the souls of 1,000,000 lunatics just loose from the prison house, wrenching trees by the roots, sweeping all from the path. The sea has joined the fray and swirls up mountain waves to reach the pitchy sky. The flash of lurid light reveals on every side 1,000,000 shades of death, begrimed and black, scattering plagues and sorrows, dancing mad with joy. Come, mother, come, for terror is thy name, death is thy breath, and every shaking step destroys the world forever. Thou, time, the all-destroyer, come, O mother, come, who dares misery love and hug the form of death, dance in destruction's dance, to him the mother comes. Well, this was Swami Vivekananda's vision. It wasn't a kind of a poetic composition. This same Swami Vivekananda says how I used to hate Kali and her ways. That was the basis of my 6 years fight. And he says that I would not accept her, but I did have to accept her at the end. And then he says, no, the thing that made me do it is a secret. That will go with me. I had great misfortunes at that time. It was an opportunity. She made a slave of me. And further he says, and Ramakrishna Paramahansa made me over to her. This is Swami Vivekananda. The transformation, as we say, of how from that fight he had to accept her. She is easily approachable, and yet she is fierce, she is a terrible, and yet she is the mother. So these various names of this mother, which I enumerated, it's a kind of an invocation. We are trying to invoke that power which is all pervading within us and outside of us. These conceptions of the goddess were from the very, you can say, prehistoric times. Every culture worshipped the mother goddess as earth, as fertility, and you find figurines everywhere. But with the rise of patriarchy, the mother figures were relegated to the fringes. We hope it's a passing phase. In India, speaking from the standpoint of archaeology, the earliest figurines were found in this Indus Valley civilization. It's about more than 2000 before Common Era. And there we have this worship of the mother. However, it took its time to be absorbed in the Vedic pantheon. In the Vedic pantheon, they've got hundreds and hundreds of gods. And the Vedic religion has got one advantage. It absorbs, keeps on absorbing different ideals and ideas. If they are religious, fine, come over. So that is that assimilation processes that took place. But it took its time. The first Shiva and Vishnu, they were absorbed. And as these gods were there all over, well, they had to have consorts. They had to have wives. So we brought all the goddesses there down. Here, you see. They need to have consorts. They need to have powers. They were mainly powers of the gods. And this is the 9 divine nights of the Mother Durga that we worship. In India, we find that during around 600 Common Era, we find them kind of becoming independent. When we come to the Devi Mahatmyam, that's the Chandi, we find them coming down in their own. Their powers are manifest. So we have Durga as, yes, initially she's the combined powers of all the gods. She manifests. But the sum is greater than the parts, and she becomes the greatest. And all these goddesses are made to merge in that great goddess Durga. I was supposed to speak on Durga, but then Durga is so vast and vast and vast, I decided to speak on one aspect of Durga. So, we have these evidences here, but then in the Vedic literature itself, it goes against the face of archaeology. What they say as mother worship began as a kind of a need, and then it was just kind of 2000 or 1000 before Common Era. But even earlier in the Vedic literature we find Devi Suktam and Saraswati Suktam and then Bhu Suktam and Neela Suktam, Ratri, all goddesses, Durga Suktam. Goddesses were worshipped as independent, you can say, powers, not aligned to any gods. In fact, in one of the hymns, she says, I am the power behind everything, even behind all the gods. They are my manifestations. I raise someone up, I bring that person down. I am knowledge, I am destruction, I am the queen of this universe. Here you find a kind of a tremendous sense of power embodied by these goddesses. Well, you see, the first objection to the worship of goddess was especially Kali. How Kali? Is, yeah, it's an image. It's image worship. That's the first object. Generally, in fact, Sister Nivedita, she kind of enumerates some of these objections. Why we should not worship Kali. It's an image. So it's image worship. People should be told that actually there is no idolatry. When we worship something, we know that this is a symbol. Symbol of what? Of the reality. And what reality? The reality is infinite. How do we conceptualize that reality? Here, through symbols, through images. So when a worshipper is worshipping an image or a symbol, or as they say, yantra or mandala, that person knows that this is not the deity. Ideas of omniscience and omnipotence are superimposed on the image. And oh, you are infinite. It doesn't mean that symbol or that form or that image is infinite. So this is the doctrine of the pratikas and pratimas. One has to concentrate one's mind for prayers, for meditation on one spot. And what is that? They try to be as comprehensive as possible in a very little way. How to encapsulate this whole of this supreme reality. Here it is. So it's said in the Brahma Sutras, a Brahmani Brahma Drishtya Anusandhanam. That is, that which is not Brahman is taken to be as Brahman. It's a substitute. So, here we are. There is no kind of image worship. And in fact, as you know, here when we worship Kali, after all this worship, which is very detailed, we take that image and with glee throw that image, immerse it in the ocean. Here it's ocean, we do it in the rivers and ponds. It means it's not idolatry. Every time we worship, we are worshipping our ideal. Whose ideal? Your own ideal. Yes, so this is what. So there's no question of it. If a person says, oh, my idol is broken, idol can be broken, but the reality cannot be broken. This just represents that reality. We'll make another one. So what's wrong with that? So when Muhammad Ghori, the Afghanistan, you can say, invader, he destroyed the temple of Somnath, the Shiva temple, 18 times. Every time he came, destroyed, looted it and went away. These guys said, oh, it's gone, let's build another one. There it was. You cannot destroy God. So it's simple. So you must understand, there is no actual image worship. The images are just representations, substitutes. We superimpose our own ideals of infinity, and omniscience, and omnipotence. There we are. The second objection is, yes, it's a horrible image. Yes, it is. There's no doubt about it. But there is nothing in this universe which is really ugly. You take a bug and you study it under a microscope and see all its beauty. When we see things in a kind of a very superficial way, oh, it's ugly. Oh, it's not ugly. You watch closely and you see that beauty there, that sublimity there. So we say, she represents birth, she represents death. Yeah, now you've got to have a kind of an image that represents both. You cannot keep two goddesses with birth and with some with death. No. It was always a unitary idea. Both these things are part of each other. She is the womb and she is the tomb of this universe. Yes. So it makes it kind of simple. There she is. And then the idea of good and evil, joy and sorrow, all these dualities that confound us. Why under the reign of a merciful God do all horrible things have to exist here? There is no answer. You can't answer. Oh, God tries to test you. Really? He's no God then. He's testing us. Why? Because he's God. Oh, really? All these kind of silly arguments have been given in the name of theology. In the Kali, you can say iconography. Both these things are clubbed together. No. She is both joy and sorrow and pain and you can say pleasure and life and death and creation and destruction. There we are. Now you worship her. And this worship, well, it's not meant for the feeble-minded. Well, the feeble-minded, once they open their eyes and see the world around as it is, well, it is much more than what you have been taught about God. Really? Yes. As the soul matures, it becomes heroic enough to worship both life and both death. Like Swami Vivekananda says, mother is the pain, mother is the disease. Who can say that? Only a person who has risen above duality. And that is what she is. Well, the third objection is, she demands sacrifice. Yes. Well, no religion can exist without sacrifice. You try it out. What religion? It will be an empty shell. It will be a fraud. Sacrifice is inherent in all religions, not only all religions. Actually, religions had just taken it from the idea of a human being. We need to sacrifice things, the lower things, to attain the higher things. It's all over in every religion, whether it's organized or disorganized or chaotic religion. It's there. Idea of sacrifice. Last time I think I told you that, in the very beginning only we have this Cain and Abel, sacrifice of the Cain and Abel. Why? Who's there? So the idea is sacrifice. And Kali demands sacrifice. You can't approach her and say, I'll hold on to this. You give me that. No. You give me something of yours and I'll give you something that you're looking for. So this idea of sacrifice, and that's the reason why these fire sacrifices and all types of sacrifices there, even worship is a form of sacrifice. It has been modified over the centuries, over the millennia, and now we got kind of something decent. But behind that is the idea of sacrifice. If we can understand that, if we can understand these three things, then we can somehow approach Kali. So she is Consciousness has got various levels. Various levels. We are on just one level, simple, stupid, that we see this world about in and say this is the only thing that is there. No. There are plenty of levels of consciousnesses. And Kali is the intersection point of all the planes of consciousness. So she is massive, she is consciousness. Sri Ramakrishna, as we know, when he began worshipping Kali, and he's saying, is all this kind of an illusion? It's just a figment. Won't you reveal yourself to me? And day and night he kept on praying to a longing for a vision. One day it was too much. He went down, he grabbed that scimitar from the wall, that's the Kali's weapon, and he was about to kill himself. And what did he see? He's saying, first I lost consciousness, that is this consciousness. He lost this consciousness and he saw an ocean of light opening up. And this ocean of light opened, luminous. And then he saw waves from all round coming at him. And they overwhelmed him. He was dragged down. He lost consciousness. He never knew how much time had passed and all this thing. There he saw the form of the mother. The first form of the mother was an ocean of light. But when he re-emerged from that state and came down to this, what he found is, first thing that people saw, he was calling out mother, mother. In another place he says, all the doors and windows and walls and everything merged into a void, and the void merged into that ocean of consciousness. This is Kali, the higher aspect of Kali. So we have this Kali kind of dominating everywhere. She is the mother of the universe. She is called the primal power. She is called the higher power, and all these various things. So her iconography is kind of simple. It's very simple. There she stands there with the two hands up and two hands down. Kind of wonderful. The sages who conceptualized this, remarkable in its comprehensiveness. They say she is naked. Well, it's actually not naked. She is called a Digambari. That is, her body is covered by the 10 directions. What direction of a space? Her body is space. And why is she black? She is depicted as black. Well, when you see something like a sky or an ocean, you see it as dark. When you are at a distance, you will see things dark. You come close to that sky where there's no color out here. The same sky is here. Or the water. When you cup that water in your hand, there's no color. So when you're far away from Kali, you will see her black or blue or whatever. So she is a kind of a unit of this duality. And what is this? Well, she kills. And she does it smilingly. Yes. It's beautiful, Her tongue is out. It's kind of in India, it's kind of a gesture of modesty. At the same time, she's hungry for blood. There she is. And then we have a garland of, you can say, skulls and a girdle of severed hands. Well, actually, are all dripping with blood and all that, gore. She loves that kind of. Well, she is you can say, the receptacle of all karmas. That's what she is. And in one hand she holds a severed head. That is the ego. Until and unless the ego is severed, you can't get a vision of the mother. And another hand she is wielding that scimitar, or depends on whether she's depicted with 4 hands, you can say 8 hands, or 10 hands, a kind of trident and swords and this and that. What's a sword or the scimitar? The sword of knowledge. She's cutting down ignorance. And with the 2 hands she's saying, take it easy, don't worry, I'm there. She is bestowing the fearlessness. Don't look at me and get frightened. Just take it easy. And then what do you want? Here, she is offering boons. And, she had gone kind of crazy when she was attacking the demonic forces. And Shiva had to lie down on that battlefield. And she steps on him and she stops. It's a Shiva that tames Kali. Shiva represents Shava, the dead. And Kali represents the dancing, you can say, that energy. So it's the relative and the absolute, both conjoined. She cannot exist without the absolute. And the absolute needs manifestation. So Shiva is called Kala, time. And she is called Kali. That's simple as that. Kala and Kali. They combine and recombine everywhere. It's in every phenomena. From the smallest atom to the greatest galaxies and universes and multiple universes, etc. So she is that dark night. We have a dark night of the soul. She always likes darkness. She herself is dark. Oh, Mother, in that darkness, your formless beauty sparkles. Yes, she is hidden. You've got to discern her through her movements. And when she laughs, it's even louder than the thunder roll. The whole, you can say, universe trembles. And as Swami Vivekananda says, every shaking step destroys the world forever. She is that time, Kala Ratri. She is the night of destruction. So we don't have much time, but she has various weapons and this and that and all, okay. But a different mythological literature, they depict her in various forms, kind of. And till we come down to one, you can say, form of hers. There was a demon called the Rakta Bija, the seed of blood. So when Durga was attacking that demon, every time she hurt him, she struck him, blood spilled, and from the drops of blood, clones of his own sprung up. And she was so frustrated. She was yelling. And she got angry. And when she got angry, her brow furrowed. And from that anger came out Kali. But that Kali was skeletal, like an old crone, wearing animal skins, and with that terrible laughter. And what she did was, as Durga was attacking the Rakta Bija, she was lapping up the blood, not letting those drops of blood fall down, or they will germinate into new demons. So that is the first, you can say, instance where we get of her doings, what she is doing. Much earlier than that, in the Mahabharata, we have these heroes called the Pandavas, the noble ones. They saw in their dreams at night of goddess black. She is roaming down the battlefield amongst the dead and the dying and the wounded and the yelling, picking up souls. They saw that in their dreams, all of them. And the next day, they saw her on the battlefield when one of the opposing, you can say, generals, Drona's son Ashwathama, was waging the battle. And there was mass destruction, destruction on a huge scale. So they saw her. So this is one of the few things that we say. As we come in these present ages, we see a kind of she is now more beautiful, more voluptuous, more motherly, and she's calm and quiet and fierce at times. We ourselves, we must understand, these gods and goddesses are not static. God changes. God cannot change. The conceptions of God change over time. And this is what we must understand. Why? Because there is an evolution of the worshippers. The worshippers are getting higher and higher ethical ideas of what God should be. Swami Vivekananda said, Indra drank so much, he fell down and talked gibberish. We cannot have all these kind of gods. For those guys, it was okay. So what? It's okay if our God falls down and drunk and talks nonsense. Now, you're saying, why did he drink? You'll say, no. He's a God. He cannot. He's immortal. He shouldn't be drinking all these things. No. So as ethical ideas grew and grew and grew, so did our conceptions of God. That Kali, that hideous, terrible looking, she had a softer side, a motherly side, a beautiful side, a joyous side. And this is what we feel. Is it only in Hinduism that we have this? Oh no. We have it in all the religions of the world, from China to Greece to Turkey to Rome. They used to worship the feminine in her own glory. But as I said in the beginning, patriarchy pushed them towards the fringes. So as a Vedic religion was growing in India, those fringe goddesses, they were absorbed, assimilated in the mainstream. And she came in her own light. So she is an archetypal feminine found in all religions of the world. Well, now she is pushing herself. You see nowadays pictures of Wonder Woman and Superwoman and this and that and all these things. You see her? Yeah, she's pushing herself there inside. You can't stop it. These images are part of her psyche. And she's emerging out. Well, for the good. And as we see it in New Age movements, probably in feminism and all these kind of, you see a kind of an awakening of the feminine. Well, it's a feminine. Well, there was, Sri Ramakrishna says, a guy was looking at the image of Durga, and in India we put a kind of a sacred thread around the shoulder, throw it around the shoulder. He's saying, how come you've put that sacred thread around? That's meant for the males, The females used to wear it as a kind of a girdle, Oh, you have understood the mother. For me, brother, I don't know whether the mother is male or female or anything. She is beyond all gender. And that's what she is actually. We want an ideal image, and that ideal image is the mother. And she's coming out gradually. So, after the Devi Mahatmam, the classical text on the mother, we find mother worship prevalent everywhere. Especially, it was actually even before. Swami Vivekananda says, Buddhism, 500 years of the law, that is dharma. 500 years of the Sangha, the organization. And 500 years of the Tantra. There was a kind of a movement, an esoteric movement to worship that god or goddess in their own way. So they used to go to the cremation grounds. Cremation grounds is a terrible place. Nobody goes there. So these guys used to go there and practice. You cannot do that in, civilized society. They used to go out there. So that was the beginning of the Tantras. That's a mighty stream. And Buddhism was primarily involved in this tantric, not the mainstream Buddhism. So when Buddhism fell, it was all absorbed in the mother church. So we have in Tibetan Buddhism, especially in Tibetan Buddhism, we have goddesses like Tara, Manjushri. Manjushri is a bodhisattva. And then we have Prajna and all these things. The iconography resembles that of Kali. She is a kind of a universal mother there. There was a time when the first invaders came in India and then the missionaries and all came there. They seen the worship of these various gods and goddesses and terrible, oh my God, horrible. Cannot. So you see, we have a better conception of God. Loving, kind, compassionate, but away from you. So, take these conceptions. No, we don't want. We've got plenty. And what these invaders and everyone did was, they did exactly what Kali was doing. They went with sword and fire and killing and blood and shrieking. There. Somewhere deep down, these conceptions of God are there within us, very deep down. Superficially, we would like to have a nice singing and loving God, and He's compassionate and this and that. But deep down, your very soul is pushing at this reality which is there, the reality of God. When Arjuna was shown the cosmic form of God, he got frightened. Oh, I thought you were just my friend. I want to see my form, your form as my friend. Yes. It was terrible. He got frightened. That was a cosmic form of God in the process of creation, preservation, destruction. So until we don't have the unitary you can say, conception of God, our conceptions of God will be lame. It will not give you that kind of real satisfaction that we need. So, Kali means the force of time. Time here. At the same time, she is impersonal. She is the great enchantress, the Mahamaya. She, out of her will, creates this universe. Yes, I was thinking of how to speak on this goddess who just wills this universe, and it comes out appears. That kind of, I mean, if you really think about it, my God, how is it? When Swami Vivekananda asked about this power, saying, yes, there is a great power who thinks of itself as feminine. There it is. And like many other things, he's saying, that's a secret, I'm not going to tell you about it. You could have told us, but then maybe we weren't ready. Maybe he left it to Kali to tell us. So this Kali, we'll take it a little, go a little faster. Again. Sri Ramakrishna started his journey as a worshipper of Kali. And as you've seen, how he realized her. And throughout his life, she was a constant presence. When you read in the Gospel, he's speaking to somebody. The words are indistinct. He was speaking to her. She was personal as well as impersonal for him. She was a presence there. She was not only a presence. In fact, Swami Vivekananda says, I believe Kali worked up the body of Ramakrishna. So you want to see Kali? Oh yes, there, Ramakrishna. Ah. And he saw this Divine Mother in everything. One time Swami Vivekananda, he came and saying, see, I've meditated on Kali for 3 days and I haven't seen her yet. So Sri Ramakrishna said, it needs a little time, you see. She is none other than Brahman. She herself is that reality. That which is Kali is Brahman. It's like the fire and the power to burn. She is one with that reality. So milk and its whiteness, or you can snake in motion and snake stationary, she is that. She is both the dynamic as well as the static aspects. It is she alone who exists. Like Sri Ramakrishna says, a different, you can say, before we can close, she is called Mahakali, the great Kali, or Nitya Kali. When there was neither ought nor not, when this universe did not exist, she existed. She has to exist. She existed in her own powers. And then there's another aspect called Raksha Kali. She is worshipped for when you need protection. Shama Kali is the tender aspect of Kali. She is worshipped in every household, blue and beautiful, look at. And she also helps her devotees and obstructs any sin or demerit or anything like that. Then we have Smashana Kali, you can say the classic pose, Kali in the cremation ground, running about. She is like that Elokeshi, her hair flying about. It means she is unrestrained At the same time, life is covered with death. And she has these long tresses flying about. And she is Tara. When Swami Vivekananda is saying, she made a slave of me. When I read this, she got an opportunity. 3 times he went to her. He was in difficult circumstances, and Sri Ramakrishna said, you know why all the trouble in your life? Because you don't accept my mother, Kali. And say, okay, today is an auspicious day. In the evening, go in the temple. And he goes. And, I remember, just before I came here to the US, I had gone to the temple, and that very image. And I said, see, this is Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother and Swamiji saw it as living. I'm seeing it as a stone. There. That's the difference between them and me. So he had a vision of her 3 times. First time he went, and he was so ecstatic, and he's saying, Mother, I don't want anything. I want just devotion. I want knowledge. I want unswerving devotion to your lotus feet. I don't want anything. He came back. Sri Ramakrishna said, did you ask what you want? Go, quickly. How can you forget? He went again 2nd time. And again he forgot. The 3rd time he came. And Sri Ramakrishna said, control yourself, my boy. You go and ask what you want. And 3rd time he went, he seen Mother luminous, with all that glory and blessing. Well, he felt so ashamed, saying, I don't want anything. I want your uninterrupted vision. That's what. So, yeah, so all these, she wears a kind of a skull. Karma also. And besides, it also represents the 51 letters, the sound symbols in the Sanskrit language. That is, she is all the sounds in the universe. And yes, so she has all the sounds emerge from her and merge in her. All forms emerge from her and merge into her. She has innumerable forms. How many forms? Innumerable. Everything has sprung from her. That is, you, me, everything has sprung from her. So we are, in a way, forms of Kali. And our names, that also has sprung from her. She is the only reality. So she has manifested herself through all of us. As us. If the human soul can understand this, that's liberation. And, well, you see, Sri Ramakrishna says, she is the great enchantress. She is Mahamaya. She kind of winks and says, go out and enjoy yourself. And the soul goes out and enjoys itself. He said, don't cry. He said, no, I want back. Wait, go, continue. I want my play to continue. And if the soul says, no, I want to come back, then she can. So she binds the soul, she liberates. And when the soul discovers, it was always a part of that great reality, all illusions break. So her work is, you see, her Holy Mother once saw her. It was during a kind of a plague in Calcutta. And Holy Mother saw a vision of Kali. With one hand, she's sweeping up all the dust and dirt, and that is things that have been dead, killed. Who? By her. She's sweeping it up. And then she's sprinkling that nectar from a pot which she holds in her hand. What are you doing? Oh, I'm cleaning the place and I'm again reviving it. So our lives may seem kind of hollow, but no. Bring in the mother, you will find a kind of a meaning and purpose. You will find those waves that take you up and down are nothing but mother's play. Just hold on to the idea of mother. And if you can do that, if we can really do that, there's nothing better than that. So Sri Ramakrishna used to see everything as a mother, and Holy Mother herself, to bring in Holy Mother, the Holy Mother will get annoyed saying, you've spoken about it, what about me? When Sri Ramakrishna gave up his body, he said Kali, Kali, Kali 3 times. And Holy Mother was living downstairs. She comes weeping up. Oh my Kali, where have you gone, leaving me alone? She used to look at Sri Ramakrishna as Kali, and Sri Ramakrishna used to look at her as Kali. There you are. It is not just 2 souls, and Sri Ramakrishna used to always say, don't upset her. If she gets upset, even the creator gods like Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva will not be able to save you. She has come, Kali has come in these twin souls, as it were. Sri Ramakrishna and the Holy Mother. And there, towards the very end, Swami Vivekananda says, I don't find her hands in mine anymore. Then he knew it was time to depart. She, as it were, held both his hands and took him around. When he came to Los Angeles, it was Kali leading him. Yeah, everywhere he went, it was she only. So what is the secret? Yes, he could have told us the secret. That secret will go with me. But fortunately, he has given us enough of materials to now worship this. So he said, worship the terrible. When things go wrong in your life, don't get frightened. When things go right in your life, don't get elated. It's all the mother. She is in life, she is in death, she is in joy, she is in sorrow, she is everywhere. And we are parts of that. So, in philosophy we have 3 distinct entities. The reality, the God, the universe, and souls. These 3 things. And the philosophers have been trying to break their head over what's the nature of the soul, what's the nature of God, and what's the nature of this universe. And over, huge philosophical books have been written on this thing. How silly it can be. Actually, those 3 things are one. Why can't you understand this? This is the reality, this is the universe, this is the soul. Once you understand all these are embedded in this, that which is Kali, that which is Brahman. So we are all aspects or parts of that reality. If we can just quietly, in our moments of pain, in our moments of pleasure, just remember Mother. She is that mother. She is that great mother. One time, one devotee was sitting and meditating, and beside her, mother was meditating. If I'm not mistaken, it was Indrani Sen. And as this devotee was meditating, she saw the mother naked, giving birth to millions and millions of beings and absorbing them back. She opened eyes, frightened, and she saw mother calmly meditating. After mother's meditation, she told mother, I seen you like this. Oh, by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, you had the vision of Prakriti, that is the matrix. Well, she is the matrix. She is that Kali. So, knowing Kali as one with Brahman, we can understand, we can rest, be assured. What is liberation and what is life and what is death? Just kind of waves. We are taking these things very seriously, these small things in life, while we are forgetting the reality behind all these things. So the mantras which I had chanted in the beginning, Om Klim Kalikayai Namah, it's a very powerful mantra. Whatever you want, you can get it through this. There's tremendous power in that. Well, there's another mantra, very powerful, and that is Mother. That's a simple thing. That's the best mantra. And for this age, that is Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.